Boom! Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose, or you can find a way to take it to the stupid if you're Keith Thurman, who's out here starving for a fight. Now, I'm going to point something out to you right now, and I'm talking to you. Keith Thurman used to be, Zab Judah and Chris Bird, my two favorite fighters. But Keith Thurman was the man to me. That was my favorite fighter. I ain't gonna lie. Of this era, right? I just felt like Keith Thurman could do no wrong. When Keith Thurman was fighting and out here tranquilizing opponents, I was like, ain't nobody beating Keith Thurman. I remember watching him fight Tszyu Soto Caras, and I was like, yo, the way he bounced back from getting touched up pretty good by Caras, I said, yo, this man here is the truth. Then he went on to fight Julio Diaz, Leonard Bundo, Robert Guerrero, Luis Calazo, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and then he disappeared. But it was, for me, I was watching before the Soto Caras fight. I remember when he fought Carlos Quintana and knocked him out. I remember when he fought even all the way back when he first started fighting, when he got into a Fabio Medina. But the thing is, I knew there was something special about him. The way he was just into knocking people out, and then his ability to box and move laterally and stop and fire on a dime and counter punch and evade shots. I was like, this man is special. But if you look at where he is now and kind of how he's been treated, I'm going to tell you right now, I think when he returned to boxing and so he fought Danny Garcia March of 2017. Then he didn't return to the ring until 2019 in January. And he fought Josecito Lopez. And that went to a decision. Most people expected him to knock Josecito Lopez out. But Josecito almost knocked Thurman out. And, he attributed it to ring rust, and he said Josecito is a good fighter. But a lot of the fans attributed Keith Thurman's performance to ring rust inactivity. We know he got married and everything else. But then they come and 6 months later he gets a good opportunity against Manny Pacquiao, which I think a lot of us felt that maybe Keith Thurman would get him, but we knew Manny Pacquiao was still an amazing fighter. And went split decision. A lot of people felt Thurman won, but that knockdown in the first round hurt him. So then 2019 July, the Pacquiao fight happens. In 2022 in February, he fights Mario Barrios. And he does the business to Barrios. He hurts him multiple times through the fight. But Barrios did hurt Keith Thurman as well. And then that's February 2022. Now he's returning. Here it is 2 years later to fight Tszyu. And what I think is happening here now, and remember, I don't mind being wrong. I think Keith Thurman's starving. And that's why he's taking a fight at 155. No title. I don't think there's anything here to motivate this man except just, coming back to the sport and being active. He's fighting a champion, but he doesn't get the title. So what's Keith Thurman's motivation, people? Right? Yeah, okay, he's going to make a little bit of money if the pay-per-view event does well, but he's going to, so let's just say he's going to make some money. But outside of that, what's his motivation? His whole thing, Keith Thurman, one time, blah, 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 to return to the sport of boxing, become champion again, right? And he's not going to get that opportunity. Now, what I think is going to happen here, like a friend of mine, we were talking, because we're just trying to brainstorm and figure out what's the end goal with Keith Thurman and Tszyu. Now, I'm going to tell you, there's nowhere in the world when Keith Thurman was one time would I have said Tszyu would have beat him. But Tszyu has been active, and Tszyu has proven to me that he's the real deal. Tszyu is the truth. But Keith Thurman against Tszyu at especially at 154, 155, I'm not so sure Keith Thurman will beat him. I do think people, this may be the fight where you see Keith Thurman get knocked out. But I still got, don't get me wrong, I still got faith in him. But it's like in any sport, you got to stay active. It's like I'm at the gym the other day, and I'm lifting weights, and my oldest son is 13. He'll be 14, right? When I used to lift, all I did was lift weights and work out and box and run marathons and shit before I got married and had kids. Got married, still doing it, had kids, everything changed. So when I go in the gym now, you know, I'm not the same. You know, ain't no way in the world. First of all, I don't want to put 385 pounds on no damn a bench to press. I don't want to put 275 pounds on incline and rep. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do that. Them days are over. You know what I'm saying? Doing dips with the damn belt around my waist and 245s hanging off it. You know what I'm saying? Like, them days are over. I go to the gym, I may hit the heavy bag and hit the speed bag. You know, there's opportunities to spar out here, but I'm just too busy to go because in the evening I'm with my kids, man, doing their stuff. But I would do it for fun, but I mean, I would have to really, you know, get back in shape and kind of, you know, make sure lubricate the joints and everything again before I even think about it. But I couldn't imagine, even for me, a guy like Keith Thurman to come off of that inactivity status to get back in the gym and train, whether it's 12 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is he's doing to train. And to think he can go in the ring with a guy like Tszyu, who's been in the gym active and for like the last couple years, and think that somehow you're going to be able to pull it off. I mean, don't get me wrong. The best fighter doesn't win the fight. It's the fighter who boxes the best. But I just think for Keith Thurman, he's starving for a fight, and this is just something that was thrown to him, and I think he's desperate, and so he took it, and thinking that, hey, if I beat him, maybe he's promised a winner of Spence and Crawford. Who knows what he's promised? Maybe he says, okay, I did the fight at 155. I'll cut weight now and get back down to 147. Maybe I fight Boots, or maybe he stays there. Maybe he looks for the Danny Garcia rematch. I don't know. But when I just look at his pattern here, you figure 2017, he disappeared for about 2 years. 2019, he had 2 fights. Then after that, he disappeared for over 2 years. Now after that, he disappeared for another 2 years to return now. So I can't see Keith Thurman fighting against Tszyu and then returning 6 months to fight again. I don't see that. I see Keith Thurman disappearing, probably just, you know, indefinitely. I think he's going to retire. I do. I think this is him being sacrificed. But you just never know what happens in a boxing match. But I just think this is something that he's going to have a tough time digesting. But he's taking it because he's starving. He wants to be active. He misses the limelight. He wants the cameras in his face. And he just wants to see if he can achieve greatness again. But I'll tell you what, if Keith Thurman beats Tszyu, this to me would be one of the biggest upsets in this era. Because although Keith Thurman is a talented fighter, got to give him credit. He's an amazing fighter. I just don't think he's supposed to beat Tszyu. I don't. And this whole thing was similar with Tszyu. He just has his father's name, and without his father's name, Tszyu wouldn't be where he is. What are you talking about, McNicholas? Maybe some of the opportunities he's received, maybe the money he's making without the Tszyu last name. You know, I could see that, but he's still got to get in the ring and fight. His dad ain't fighting for him. Y'all got to give that Australian some credit, because when he comes in there with the Australian bing bing, he starts hitting these fighters with the Aussie bing bing. Left, right. Shit. That don't have a goddamn thing to do with his father. That has everything to do with Tim. So let's not act like Tszyu doesn't bring the Aussie bing bing in the ring, because he's coming in there and he's destroying people. And I just think Keith Thurman's going to look good. I think he's going to have some moments, but I just think by round 4, Tszyu's going to catch up to him. And I don't think there's that much running in the world. I think Keith Thurman's going to get booed. I really do. I think the crowd's going to boo him because he's going to be on his bicycle when he feels that goddamn so Tszyu, so Costa Tszyu's from Russia, right? And Tszyu ended up being born and raised in Australia. So I don't even know what he may get hit with the Russian bing bing. Tszyu may come in with some of the daddy power and hit Keith Thurman with the Russian bing bing, which is probably worse than the Aussie bing bing. Any way it goes, Keith Thurman getting bing-binged. Just don't understand what the hell Al Heyman is doing. But if Keith Thurman was to take it to the stupid and pull off the upset, could you imagine? Now Keith Thurman's out here looking to fight Jamel Charlo. Maybe he boots. Maybe Crawford Spence. Maybe he goes down. Santillan. Who knows what Keith Thurman does. Danny Garcia. Erislandy Lara. You just don't know what opportunities will present themselves. But I think if anything happens, I think it's a wasted win if Keith Thurman gets it, because I personally think when you look at his performance pattern, he's going to disappear for more than 6 months. He's going to just go back home with his money, chill out with his beautiful family. So we'll see. But when they were talking about him fighting Earl Spence didn't want to fight him. It's supposed to be, and that fight was supposed to take place at 150 something, because Earl Spence didn't want to fight at 147. So Keith Thurman wouldn't have got an opportunity to fight for Earl Spence's titles. So again, they weren't going to give him a title then. They're not giving him a title now. So I don't understand, but I personally don't think this fight is going to get across the. I don't think it's going to get across the finish line. I don't. Maybe the contracts have been signed. I just think Keith Thurman's going to pull out. I do. I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's not going to do it. I don't. Because what's his motivation? That's what I'm going to come back to. Whenever you hear him talk, I want to be champion again. I want to do this. I want to do that. Well, he's not getting that opportunity. What he's getting is an opportunity to get his damn head knocked off. To get bing-bing, the Aussie bing-bing, the Russian bing-bing, to get tranquilized. That's all this is. Yeah, he'll make some money, but I mean, I don't understand. So, but one thing I will say is, I don't know how the fight materialized, but if Tszyu pushed for it, Tszyu and his team are smart. You know why? Because Crawford hasn't beat Keith Thurman, Spence hasn't beat Keith Thurman. And I've been saying I've had this channel almost 2 years. I've been saying, I can say this for years, right? It's more than 1 year. That Crawford or Spence, somebody should fight Keith Thurman and beat him. Danny Garcia couldn't beat him. Sean Porter couldn't beat him. None of those 4 guys have beat Keith Thurman. 2 of them fought him. The other 2 haven't fought him. Somebody needs to fight him and beat him. Pacquiao came in there with his big feet and put the Filipino bing-bing on him. So now you got Tszyu, who's smart enough to say, I'm going to put that name on my resume. That's the feather in my cap that I need. And there's some people out there who may not give Tim credit for that win, but let me tell you something. If Tszyu could put the Aussie bing bing on Keith Thurman, Tszyu deserves all the credit in the world for that win. All the credit in the world. Then after that, for him to fight anybody becomes bigger than ever, because what they're going to say is no one has beat Keith Thurman. Not out of the big 4. Garcia, Porter, Spence, and Crawford. It took Tszyu to come up from Australia and put the Aussie bing on Keith Thurman. That being said, let's wait and see how it goes. Keith Thurman can win. I just don't see how a person would be willing to roll the dice on him because of his inactivity, and just with Tszyu the momentum, and also size difference. Tszyu walk around about 297 pounds. Tszyu is big as hell, man. He out there eating all that good Australian food, man. Potatoes and shit. I mean, Keith Thurman, he doesn't walk around at that kind of weight. Tszyu is a big boy, man. I just think this has total failure written all over it. I think it has took it to the stupid written all over it for Keith Thurman. But hopefully they pay him well so he can just, like I said, sail off into the sunset and just chill in Florida, man, and catching some of them peacock bass and relax. Because this may be his last fight, especially if he gets the hell beat out of him, because Tszyu's not going to hit him and then hurt him and then sit back and then look at the referee to jump in. Or Tszyu's going to try to annihilate him, which is what he's supposed to do. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. Let me know if you think I'm taking to the stupid. I just don't think Keith Thurman, who smiles like a cat, can beat Tszyu. Not right now. I just don't see it in the breeze.